Well, first off, thank you, Richa, for organizing this. I'm Nick, and I run a company called Essai Education, and we do college admissions, and we focus a lot on the US, the UK. We can do Singapore, we can do Hong Kong, we can do Europe, but the US is the big one now. And we love working with people like Richa and Makers Asylum because, we've had kids to have such great experiences and get really amazing college placements. So today, I'm just going to give a very short presentation on, kind of how this all works and how, what is the ecosystem. And then Richa will give a short presentation. And we'd love to answer questions you've got, anything on college admissions, anything on makers portfolios, anything. Okay? Now, so with no further ado, I'm just gonna start. Today we're talking about empowering college journeys with a maker's portfolio. Okay? And uh, that's me. I went to Harvard. I graduated in like 20 years ago. And then I was a high school teacher and I started helping people with the SAT test. Maybe some of you guys have heard of that. It's used for US admissions. I found I really liked it. And then wrote a textbook. It was published in India. I started coming to India and now I have a company in India. I've been doing this for like 10 years. And we've specialized in end-to-end profile building for the best US unis. And we're really, really good. Now, um, just a few quick things about what's possible. Okay. It's really hard to get into these great unis. Okay. The average acceptance rate for international students is like 5%. With me, it's like 90. Okay. Now, of course, you have to meet some minimum qualifying levels academically. You can't have like D's and C's in high school and expect to get into Stanford. No, no, no. But it works almost every time. Okay. And so 100% of our students get into the what you could think of as the top 50, okay, and with an average admitted SAT score. And then even 70% of our students, I mean, they get into some good uni, but they don't even have a good SAT score. So that's usually what profile building does. Okay. Now, very quickly, oops. So very quickly, these unis are the ones that we think about generally when we think about the really good unis, okay? They're kind of organized in rows of five. And it depends what you guys think is good, but most people would say the top 15 are really good. And then the next 15 are honestly pretty damn good. And even the next 10 are pretty damn good. So really, this is sort of what it's all about, okay? And so the average SAT score required for these guys is 1500 on average, 1500. Our average score for admitted students to these unis is 1430. Okay. How do we do that? It's because the profiles are good. And that's where Richa comes in. Now, in our college matriculations, just in case you're interested, relates to this. This is literally all of our results for the past few years. Bunch at NYU, good number at Carnegie, good number at Cornell, Columbia, Duke, few into Harvard. Harvard's like really hard to get in, but it's possible. Now, our services. Okay. So what we do is we work with students for a long time and we're helping them to understand what is profile building. What is this all about? What is important? Okay. And we're helping our students to build their profiles through social service, through internships, through online courses, okay, through school engagement, and through socially oriented projects. Okay, and this is where things like Makerspace and Makers Asylum play such an important role because you need to have a very strong project in order to have a very strong profile. Now, so my whole philosophy is very simple that there's one thing that's needed for very good admissions, and that's just a very good application. Okay, and so and this is really literally how we do it. Your application is made of three things, guys. It is made of your school grades, okay? If this could be described, it is made of your school grades. It is made of grades from ninth grade to 12th grade. Now, if you've done really good in seventh and eighth, that's lovely, but unfortunately, that doesn't get sent in. Now, it is made of the SAT. That is the second piece. This is a standardized test of math and English. There are some excellent tutors in India. I'm more than happy to answer your questions and direct you to anyone possible. And then there's your profile. Okay. This is a set of extracurriculars which shows specific attributes per some specific plan. Okay. Hint, this is where I come in. This is my job. This is the SAT tutor's job. This could be described as the student's job, the school grades. Okay. Now, is it complicated to build up a very good US profile? Yes, kind of. But it's like any legal filing, it's like a tax return. This can be optimized. Okay. The more complicated the application, the better it is, because that gives us the more chances to make cool, good, fruitful decisions. So a very simple application would be like IIT application. Do good on one test, you're in. Okay, very straightforward. Now, in America, they're probably looking at about 80 or 90 different data points about you. Okay. And we can really build an interesting story in those 80 and 90 data points, which leads to people getting into unis that are like this, and their grades and SATs are only like this. So if you think about it, it's like, even if this is, oops, even if these aren't great, if this is really good, it kind of boosts you to the required level. That's really true. Now, so how do we go about this? Through carefully curated and well-supported school grades, through effective and systematic SAT training, and through a thoughtful and personalized profile, which shows your values in the right way. Okay? So the profile is the fun part. What is a profile? A profile is a set of extracurricular activities. That's it. It is a set of 10 activities that you complete from ninth grade to 12th grade. Okay? That is it. Every counselor would have a slightly different understanding of what they think goes into a profile and what is good. Now, for me, it's summer schools, and I would count Maker's Asylum probably as a summer school. It's research papers. I would also count Maker's Asylum potentially giving you something that could be a research paper. Social projects. Actually, Maker's Asylum could even work for a social project. School engagement. This is like if you can be house captain or start a club or something. Academic enrichment. This would be like doing online courses, learning Python, taking Olympiads, things like that. Non-academic enrichment, sports, music, like that, and internships. Okay. And these are kind of listed in order of importance. Now, so we need to build 10 activities out of these seven different types of activity. Okay, so what are they? How do we do it? We need 1 to 2 service-driven activities. Here's my basic framework. Okay, 1 to 2 service-driven activities, one leadership activity. Okay, I like one or more competitive activities. That would be like soccer or debate or MUN, anything. Okay. I love one or more creative activities. Piano, painting, singing, why not? Okay. And the main thing is 4 or 5 subject related activities. So, guys, this is actually the magic mixture if you want to build up a top US profile. School grades, SAT, and profile. Profile's 10 activities. About half has to link up with your subject. Okay. What subject, you might wonder? Could be mechanical engineering, could be economics, could be psychology. You have to show you've engaged with this. Okay. That's the hard part, and that's kind of the fun part. Okay. So, look, another brief overview. These 1 to 2 good social service activities. What does good mean? Guys, good means issue-driven service activities, not just like generic, like go hand out hats in the winter. Okay. We need to showcase you're interested in one issue. There's about 100 total issues in the world that I've identified. Okay. They pretty much all split into 4 buckets. Poverty relief, that's PR, environmental action, EA, community health, CH, equality and rights, ER. This is like gender empowerment. That spells preacher. It's very easy to remember. Basically, when you're building up your service piece, you pick one of these and you stick with it. Okay. You don't want to show you're doing too many different things. Then that makes you look insincere. Okay. Now, what is leadership? Good leadership just means school stuff, to be honest. You can't really show leadership without that. So, head boy, head girl, prefect, house captain, club founder, Richa. That's a really hard one and a really valuable one. You could have students trying to make Makers Asylum chapters in their schools or something. That'd be like really cool. Okay. Um, Good creative activities. This just means sustained. Okay. Performing arts is good. Visual arts is good. Obviously, any kind of maker's project is awesome. Media content creation is good. This is, performing arts would be traditional. Okay. So doing a filmmaking program, something like that. Competitive activities, again, just kind of showing that you've really stuck with something. That's what that means. Sports debating, like that. Now, subject related. This is my part. This is the hard part. Okay. To help a kid string together 4 or 5 very advanced subject related activities. Okay. Which showcase a very strong interest. And I guess, Richa, what I kind of tell people is, you don't have to cure cancer to get into Harvard. You just have to look like you really want to. Okay. And so then you think, oh wow, well what would make me look like I want to cure cancer? And then like learning biology, doing a chemistry summer school, doing a research paper in genetics, doing some lab work, okay? Maybe doing the other side, making a project that helps people with cancer, okay? So that's the how you build this basic story, okay? So the way you show these surefire activities, these subject-related activities, summer schools, internships, research projects, and academic enrichment. This is like online courses and stuff. Okay? Now, and so these are just some examples. So basically, look, here's a couple case studies, kind of cool. One student joined us from an A-level school in the Middle East. Basically hadn't sent kids to the US very much. She was really academically confident. Okay. Essentially, we built a two-part strategy focusing on mechanical engineering and computer science. They took the right APs, they took the right A levels, they did a good summer school at YYGS, they did a good research project, and that research project used machine learning to assess the health of a local lake. How cool. Okay. So all of a sudden, with this one project, it was like, oh, okay, this kid has those kind of general, sort of some environmental interests. Okay. And then they did a pretty small scale research social project just teaching robotics, and their essays were good, and they got into freaking Stanford and Caltech. Goodness. Now, so, and this was not a super genius kid. This was a very normal kid, very good grades, just had a good sustained theme. And then another kid, she joined us from Delhi. She had good grades from a good school in Delhi. She liked her bio, okay? She hadn't taken chemistry in ninth and 10th, so she had to start chemistry in 11th. That's really hard. So we found her the right tutors. She did a really cool project on body positivity in healthcare because I knew this kid wasn't a hardcore science kid. So I was like, yeah, we don't want to make this like into like bioinformatics or anything too sciencey. So instead, it was like, okay, let's try to look at bio from the other side, from the human side. And so did a really good social project that was relevant, did a couple of good summer schools, started a school club, did a couple of good research projects, and gets into Columbia ED. She's the only kid who got into Columbia ED from Delhi that year. Now, so basically, not all subjects are created equal. Okay. Applying for different majors requires different level of achievement. Just so you know that. So there's basically 4 different kind of buckets. There's STEM, humanities, business, and the arts. And st for STEM, you can totally get in, but you need really good grades, like almost perfect grades. Okay. It's considerably easier to get into these top places through something like humanities. Okay. Now, and so this is, by the way, my tier one. Um, and so yeah, look, this is kind of it. All right. So what I do is I chalk out the whole journey. I work with people. My counselors work with you very closely. I work with my students closely, and we're just kind of always thinking, okay, how do we optimize the school grades, the SAT, and the profile? Okay. School grades is your job. SAT is your your tutor's job. Profile is my job. Now, and Richa would do a slam dunk. She could definitely deliver that, and what she does plays a vital role in that profile. Okay. So, Richa, that's how I do it. How do you do it?
Amazing. Thanks, Nicholas. That was really, I mean, it's a great presentation for me as well to kind of learn how you kind of, really
Yeah.
putting your framework in and how this
Mm.
fits in. So thank you so
It's a
much
frame. Yeah,
for
definitely.
that.
And it does fit in. They work
Yeah.
together
No,
seamlessly.
of course, it works very seamlessly. But thank you everyone for joining, and thank you, Nicholas, for having me this afternoon. I'm going to take you guys through a small presentation as to what Maker's Asylum does. I think Nicholas did put it into his structure at different points, but I can tell you like a little bit of history about how we started and what we do, and yeah, and then we can answer some questions at the end of this, hopefully. So let me quickly share my presentation. Uh, just give me a moment. Can you can you all see my screen?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, great. So just a quick introduction. My name is Richa. I'm the director at Makers Asylum. I do come from an electronics engineering background, but I've also done business. I've studied business, but also kind of worked across various sectors in the last. And I'm old, so yeah, it's been a couple of, 15, 20 years of work. But Makers Asylum was co-founded by Vaibhav and Anul, the co-founders, and they're my partners at the space. They do also do come in from engineering backgrounds. Webb was a mechanical engineer. He was at the Media Labs at MIT in Boston,
Oh,
working on a virtual reality based diagnostic device. He's done a bunch of stuff over the years, specifically focused around innovation and creativity and education. Anul, we call him the chief hacker of the space, and because he's kind of like always building and making, but he's also a very amazing hardware expert, really works in the open source community across the world. And yeah, he's just awesome. And he's also kind of known as the hardware genius of India. So yeah, both of them together started this many years ago. We actually started the space in 2013 out of a little garage in Bandra in Mumbai. You can see our first space, and then we got kicked out of many spaces. But it's India's first open community maker space. If you've not been to a maker space before, and now over the last 5 years,
oh, look
we
at
have
that sign. Oh my God. You have that on the top of your building?
no, we don't.
Oh,
We
damn it.
don't.
No,
I
you need to
wish.
add it.
We need to add it. A lot of people come to our space kind of looking for that sign, but no, we don't have it. It's actually a screenshot from this documentary that CNA Insider did about makers in general across the world, and it's a beautiful documentary. If you guys get to watch it, it's called The League of Extraordinary Makers, and there's a story about
Mm,
Makers Asylum as well in that. But anyways, so now we're inside this beautiful 100-year-old home in Goa where we are kind of, inside this house that we think was built to be a makerspace 100 years ago. And
wow.
yeah, so that's where we are for the last 5 years.
Amazing.
But to show you, this physical space houses a lot of infrastructure as well. So anything from a woodworking workshop, these are pictures from our space, metal shops. So a lot of artists, designers, engineers, all kinds of people who like making and building come to the space to use it. We have digital fabrication labs. So like, laser cutter, 3D printers, electronics, virtual reality, all things at the intersection of, I would say, hardware design and programming
Mm,
is something that we like sort of mixing up and kind of building
mm.
things. Originally, when we started this space, it was meant to be a DIY space. That means to say that you come, you make, you kind of go. But what started happening over the years was a lot of people were very, everyone's got ideas, but not everybody knows how to go from idea to actually building and making. So it organically started becoming a space for people to kind of come and learn. So we started designing a lot of programs and workshop that aid that idea to making journey, I would say. And over the years now, we've done various levels of programs. So we are actually interdisciplinary and age agnostic. We started about 13 plus, but like, kind of go up to, so that retired individuals who come to our space. There are
Wow.
people from all backgrounds because making, just like adventure sports, is something that you can start at any point in your life, right? So that's the whole idea. But we do programs like these. This is one of our flagship programs called the SDG School, which is focused on the UN Sustainable Development Goals and finding solutions around problems for the planet. And this we do in collaboration with UNESCO and UNDP. This is one of our flagship programs that also kind of acts as a global youth exchange program with a lot of university partners, in Europe, different parts of the world. We've hosted this in Paris at the UNESCO headquarters, the largest museum in Europe called Cité des Sillons, Grenoble, Copenhagen, a lot of different places as well. So it's a really beautiful, youth exchange program. We
Hmm.
also design credit-based courses for universities. For example, this is one of our
Wow.
courses, which is around social entrepreneurship, which is with Monash and six other university partners in the Indo-Pacific. Specifically focuses around building, you know, social enterprises. And this is a credit-based course that, all of these partners give credits for at their university as well for their existing students. And we also work around inclusion and disability and tech, for example. This is one of our programs that involves the differently abled community with artists, engineers, designers to kind of come up with solutions for the differently abled community, but also kind of in the process skilling them to kind of, use these skills to kind of build stuff. So like 3D printing your hands,
Wow.
creating, things around. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff over there. And
Do
of
you
course,
find
this,
that, I'm sorry, just to
yeah.
ask a question, when you're programming, is it like more technical in nature or like the education, or is it even like design thinking and like different
Yeah, that,
different
yeah.
concepts in design?
Yeah, I'm coming to that methodology piece in a minute.
Nice.
Yes,
Sorry.
but it does mix a bunch of stuff. And then, of course, you also do. So there's various themes of what the outcomes of the program are.
Hmm.
But I would say that the underlying principle is around making and building, because that leads to kind of actually implementing and giving people exposure to how that journey of building and making happens, right? And then over the years, of course, we've also built a beautiful community of people who have skills and are passionate about building and making. So this maker community, we also use as a lot of open research work that we do on the ground, where we also implement a lot of projects for, in the actual communities as well. For example, this is a mobile version of ourselves that goes around teaching children at government schools how to build stuff. So you can see it's like a Lamborghini style auto that goes around teaching
Oh my
children. So you can,
God.
yeah. So it's an open source project that we did with Autodesk, for example. There's a version of it that we did with Hindustan Unilever, which is a plastic recycling lab. And then we've also designed a textile lab for women artisans, and this is a collaboration with the French embassy to do exchange between French researchers and women artisans around textile. So things like that. And then recently we also did this design challenge with Royal Enfield. If you guys know, they're a very cool bike company. But the focus was around marine conservation and how do you kind of come up with solutions around marine conservation and things like that. So I would say our
Wow.
methodology largely focuses on design thinking, frugal innovation, and making as three pillars of what we kind of like really put together. And I think all of this is kind of overlaid with a lot of interdisciplinarity and diversity. So it becomes a beautiful kind of magic that comes out at the end of it. So now, over the years, now it's been 12 years of Makers Asylum. So our alumni is in over 40 countries through our programs and our projects. So it's been really beautiful to kind of see how a small space that we started kind of grows, in different ways. And
Oh yeah.
we've also become a hub of innovation and creativity. So a lot of people have written some really nice things about it. And we've also enabled a lot of actual startups in the space of hardware, social enterprise. About 30 to 40 startups have come out of Makers Asylums and the program and organically in the ecosystem as well. Anything from, these guys making six-axis robots, to drones, to like gazillion things.
Wow.
So,
Skateboards. Oh my God,
yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah, these are like amazing skateboards, and there are a bunch of them. So, yeah, I would say that our like in terms of partnerships, we kind of work across board with a lot of different kinds of folks, be it universities, embassies, foundations, large enterprises, and things like that. So hence, Makers Asylum, while of course, one piece of it is education and things like that, we are largely, I would say, we're a community and an ecosystem that you're coming to. So you're kind of going beyond like, just doing a program with us, I would say. And in the
Yeah.
current setting, where I would we work at the intersection of education and in open innovation, where we want to have programs that are designed to kind of aid this whole maker mindset in people, and that could be across board. And then the innovation and open innovation piece is where we actually also use this community to actually implement a lot of things on the ground, so that there's open source research happening. There's a lot of those things happening, and we love kind of driving all of that together. So that's a little context
Yeah.
about Makers Asylum. But coming to the make a portfolio piece and like this age group that we're speaking with, which is teenagers.
Yeah.
So we actually a couple of years ago started this program called the Innovation School. And the idea of this program was exactly to kind of enable, how do you kind of enable people and especially young people into building things that matter to them, right? Like, how do you even create something where you can actually experiment, explore, but at the same time also build something tangible at the end of it? So, this program was conceptualized as a sort of consultation that we did with UNESCO back in the day because UNESCO is really interested in futures of education as how that's going to look like. Like, how do you, think about, things that are happening in the future. So as part of that consultation, we got a lot of insights. And basis that, we kind of created this structure of this program. And it's been now 3 years of the program where we've been enabling a community of young makers to kind of like look at problem solving in different ways. So the way that the program is structured is in three parts. The first part of the program focuses on helping you build skills at the intersection of hardware design and programming. So um, we've picked up about 5 skills, and you kind of spend about 50 hours actually learning those skills via a project. So it's all 1:1. It's online, so you can be in any part of the world, and you can still do it because we also kind of send you a bunch of hardware at home. So you're doing anything from computer-aided design to electronics and microcontrollers to printed circuit boards, Internet of Things, virtual reality, things like that. And then, of course, there's an element where you're physically also coming to our space, which I'll talk about later. But you're doing more advanced skills like 3D printing, laser cutting, design thinking, woodworking, and things like that. But during the first part, which is the skills where you're doing it remotely, we send you a bunch of hardware at home. So you're actually building and making. You're not just learning the skill just like that by, kind of just going through a video or something, but you have a particular project attached to it. So it gives you a lot of application and sort of fundamental hard skills around, how you can start visualizing some of these areas. And then in the second part of the program, we do a lot of ideation and brainstorming. So, for example, we talk about ideas, and not necessarily everybody has ideas or projects in mind, right? How do you even come up with something that you are keen to work on or you're interested in? So how do you kind of even like, come up with that problem statement or even a project that you want to build? So the second part of the program is where everyone comes together in an online cohort where we also curate a lot of mentors from the hardware space, from the design space, our team and everybody, and they're giving you direction around what you want to build. So you also put in interdisciplinary teams from different parts of the world, and you're collaborating to kind of like come up with this project idea and kind of, also setting base to come to the last part, which is the most exciting part, which is the maker immersion at our space in Goa, which is 7 days physical immersion where you're actually building and making your prototype come to life, right? So you're actually going through the whole journey from picking up skills to ideation to actually implementing it. Now, to give you a sense of like the timeline of this, while of course our immersions happen in the summer, winter, and the spring breaks, but because there's an element of this pre-program, which is where you're building skills, you're also working towards actually your project idea. There's a pre-work that is required before you come to the immersion. So it's not exactly a summer school, I would say, but it is a little bit more immersive than that because you're prepping much more. And when you come, then your impact is much larger versus a summer school, I would say, which is just about, kind of going in and experiencing some stuff. So you're kind of like really indulging and then coming to this point. So it takes you about 6 months of prep time. And then you kind of come for the immersion. So, for example, if you're coming this summer 2026, you may want to start the course right now. Um, just to give you a sense of what kind of projects people are building, right? Let me show you some of the videos.
My project is a skirt. I like to call it the spreading a joy skirt. And basically, every time you hug someone, it changes color to what they're wearing. The skirt has LEDs on it, and the LEDs will change color. I love fashion, and the fact that you can combine fashion and like electronics was something I'd never actually heard of or even thought of. So I really wanted to do something with that, and that's how I came up with the idea of making the skirt that changes color. The idea was to encourage people to hug each other more or spread a little bit of joy, because a small hug can make such a big difference for someone. I think I was really excited to use all the cool machines like the 3D printer, and I was also surprised that I loved using the power tools so much. I think that was completely new and unexpected for me. I feel like I can actually take something apart now and not be worried about what will happen. Or if you told me to build something, I could try figuring out how to build it with no knowledge whatsoever.
So yeah, that's Aradhita's project. And I think it's really fascinating, the project, because she's right now pursuing computer science engineering at Columbia.
In Colombia,
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you would not think something like this, there's a perception around creativity, right? But the fact that she solved something which was so personal to her, but at the same time kind of combines creativity, because the fashion industry is crazy at the moment, in the sense, if you have skills like what you learn at the innovation
Mm,
school,
mm.
there's so many doors that open out in different creative industries as well, right? So it's very interesting that she's now taken this, and that was her project focus at Columbia, and she's in Columbia, right? So one example, but I'll give you certain other examples, because Nicholas spoke about social projects, for example, right? So let me give you an example of that.
My project is specifically for deaf people. To properly hear, they have to go through a process known as music therapy, but this does not happen very well at home, which is why I decided to create a very small device that children could access anytime, anywhere, and anyhow, and they can practice these sessions at home so that they themselves can really enjoy music. I did a lot of research for my project, but I also had to research the different materials that I'd need. If I needed one button, I made a list of everything and I'd write one button on it. And coming here, the first step was paper prototyping, which honestly, it's really fun. Then the coding bit was a little difficult, but I found a lot of different sample codes online. So what really helped me were the different forums, Reddit posts, and Discord messages. It showed me different sort of code that I could use and mix and match to get my final code. And in the end, I laser cut my design, which was really cool to watch, and I built it. So it was really nice.
Yeah, so that's a completely different project from what Aradhita did, and he's at Northwestern at the moment, and and of course, and Atharva, the interesting part about his profile was that he was not his scores were not the best, but the fact that he did something which was very interesting, social, also going back to Nicholas's framework, it's very interesting that these kind of projects really give you that extra edge as well, when you are applying. And let me just show you the last one, because this is also very interesting and what they did.
Our project is called BatNav, and it's meant to be like an assistive technology device for our visually impaired friend.
So we want to make a shoe-mounted device for him so he can navigate.
He was grateful that we did it for him, and also he gave us quite some constructive feedback on the fit and how it felt on his shoes.
We've come back now after our innovation school after a year. Before we go off to university, we wanted to kind of fine-tune our product for our friend.
So I'm heading to the University of Washington in Seattle for mechanical or aerospace engineering.
So I'll be going to Imperial College London for design engineering.
Having completed the Makers Asylum Innovation School course, I'm much better equipped with the skills I need going into engineering.
Being in Makers has given me a taste of what that could be like.
Going to my first year of engineering, I feel it's a very good background for me, and I'm very happy that I did the Makers Asylum course.
For the next 4 years, I really look forward to it because it's something I enjoy. It's problem solving all the time, and doing stuff yourself really gives you a sense of gratification at the end of it.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a,
Those
just
are fabulous. Wow.
It's an example of, I mean, while of course you're building for your profile and things like that, and that's great, but the fact that universities across the world, especially the Ivy Leagues and everywhere, you have spaces like these and you have communities like these. Having a sense of understanding before you go there gives you a really great edge when you actually at the university as well, right? So it becomes it's not just about the profile, but it's also post the profile when you're doing your, sessions and things like that, and it gives you a lot of advantage. So yeah, so now over the last 3 years, we've had about 400 plus talents on this program from over 50 cities in India and now 15 countries. So it's been really a beautiful mix of all kinds of people. And of course, like I said, it's a great career exploration program. So you understand what you like, what you don't like, because it overlays different themes. So it's not necessarily engineering that you need to be, inclined towards to do this program, because the making piece can cut across all kinds of, verticals as well. But for us, I think at Makers Asylum, it's a life skills program because we feel like this is a mindset that you're building for life. And of course, like the students that have gone on and been part of our program have gone to some beautiful universities. They're doing some great work there. But the fact that they carry the culture of what the space sort of fundamentally teaches them, I think that's really a proud moment for us, because I think that's what matters when you're looking at innovation, problem solving as you go, into the real world, right? And yeah, we sometime back we did this little research report on maker portfolios, because this is becoming a big piece. It was started by MIT back in the day, that you they wanted to see
Yeah.
if you're coming
Yeah.
to MIT, whether you fit into the community, the maker community. So it matters to them, and now I think a lot of other universities are picking it up, and it's
Yeah.
becoming part of the additional. I'm sure Nicholas, yeah, spoke about that creative portfolio piece as well, right? And then of
Yeah.
course, beyond this, because we are, it's not just the program that you're of, we also give you a lot of exposure and acceleration opportunities outside of the program. We have this annual summit called the Make Break Create Summit. These guys went to a national television show to pitch their things. And the program is just not for high schoolers. It's for everyone who wants to build and make. So it's exciting that, it starts for, I mean, it's beyond that. But just to give you a real world example of what the program impact can be beyond your career exploration, is that these two guys, Naman and Ganesh, they met at the program. They were part of our first batch. And Naman comes from a, typical IB background, very intelligent, was very interested in, kind of building and making and things like that. And then he met Ganesh, who came from our social impact route. So he's a third generation carpenter's son, but very good with his hands, but did not have of course, this the wherewithal to actually pay for a program. So he came via our social impact route, where we fully funded the program for him, and through Teach for India. And they met in the program, and now it's been 4 years, but they started this startup called Airbound, which is a drone delivery startup now based out of Bangalore. And they raised, in, I think, as of yesterday, about $40 million. So they're about 21, 22 years old. And this is one of the most exciting hardware tech startup that's coming out, that everyone's looking at, and they both kind of are part of our program and the community. So if you want to go
So did
that,
you get a cut, Richa, is my question.
no, we did not get a we
Darn it.
unfortunately, yeah, but that's, I mean, but for us at Makers Asylum, it's a very organic ecosystem. Like, we want to enable everyone. And I'm sure at some
Mm.
point all of this is great. Like, I mean, they of course value the space and the ecosystem. And a lot of our old employees and, part of, and people are part of this startup now. So, which is amazing, because we want to see this, because it shows you what a space like this and what an ecosystem like this can take you to, right? So it's not just about building a profile, but it's being part of a like-minded community where you're also
Yeah.
meeting people who can eventually be your co-founders. You can be your,
Yeah.
uh, it's important to have that community. I think that's what it sort of, that's what makes it very exciting for us. And I would say in the last bit that, maker skills are something which will matter in the future, right? Because the way that technology is changing, you've got AI kind of taking up so much of the grunt work that we, typically human beings are doing. But when you have these kind of skills, which are original thinking, your, problem solving, creativity, all of this is going to make a big difference, and especially hands-on skills that are foundational kind of hard skills. I think it's going to really make you stand apart, even in like beyond your careers and, in life as well. So I think, and it also shifts you from, becoming creators rather than consumers, which I think is which is going to be a powerful thing, 5, 6 years down the line when things change in the world. So yeah, so our summer
Mm.
applications are on for this program, and our early intake is already over, but our late intake is on the 31st of December, and there's a waitlist intake on the 31st of January. So if anyone's keen on kind of like being part of it, please reach out to us. And of course, we'll send you more information after this webinar as well. So thank you so much. That's a little bit about us. And
Wow.
yeah, cool. We can
Also,
maybe,
I mean, so Nikunj had an interesting question, because I mean, what the picture you paint is so compelling, Richa, and it's just like it sort of like makes me physically want to do one of your cool programs. Like,
yeah.
it seems utopian, and the college application process is definitely more on the dystopian side of it, because it is super stressful, it's deadline driven, kid
Yeah.
only has so much time in their week, and like. So Nikunj said, time being the resource, like is there a choice that has to be made? And I would say if positioned correctly, no. I think you can benefit. I've had people, I work with some of these people you're describing. I've people who they love their Maker's Asylum. They got totally into that spirit. And it was just part of like a plan that was in some cases built around that experience, which like
Yeah.
just like, okay, I'm really into my subject and I've done X, Y, and Z. And Maker's Asylum is one of those big things that they've done that connects with the subject. So, I mean, in that sense, as long as the kid is picking the right project idea, generally speaking, that's sort of like a little bit congruent with their overall like college goals,
Yeah.
perfect, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, true. So, what about there's another question someone had. What about like humanities projects or like do you guys do anything like that? Like anything like purely creative, purely design like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I showed you my, our program around social impact and sustainability as well, which is the SDG school. So I think
Mm,
humanities integrated with tech is a very interesting kind of take on, what the project could be. So in the
mm,
innovation school as well, typically the reason why we say that you can be from any background is because you can actually integrate making and the problem solving with all of that, right? So it could be a humanities related thematic that you want to opt for, you want to like do
yeah,
fashion or you want to do
yeah,
art. So I think all
yeah.
of that is possible, but yes, there's going to be an element of technology because that's how you're building that solution. So yeah.
Amazing. Arohi says, what academic grades does the university expect? Totally depends on which uni. Just contact me, Arohi. We can have a session. I can explain all that side to you. Um, Man, that's great. I mean, and so just roughly out of the students you have in your innovation school, what percent would you say are like really on doing things that are like quite clearly like pre-engineering type
Mm.
projects, like involving electronics and stuff?
Yeah, I think pre-engineering would be definitely about like 75, 80% for sure, because
Oh,
a lot of
nice.
them,
Okay.
I mean, yes, because it does have that technology element. I think
Yeah, of
that's,
course.
like a
Yeah.
natural kind of fit for them. So
Okay.
STEM, STEAM,
Mm.
so
Yeah.
anything from engineering to design to
Yeah.
architecture, all of these three definite
Mm.
subjects are something, if
Mm.
somebody's exploring, I think it becomes very exciting for them to be part of the program.
Nice. No
Yeah,
doubt.
but the rest of it is, of course, a mix of art, social sciences. If you're just exploring only, and you don't know what you want to do and you just want to explore as well, I think it's great for that kind of stuff as well.
No, definitely. And I mean, we have another question from Nikunj, who says, "Can universities can they see through things that are selective versus things that are sort of paid?" And Richa, this is a question people ask all the time. And I mean, you got to pay to go to Maker's Asylum. They've got
Yeah,
costs, you know. You got to pay
yeah,
for almost everything.
yeah.
If the project is really quirky and fun, and it's like a really cool idea, if it's just like creative, there's immense value in that. So I mean, can they see through it? It's kind of like if it's like a nice, thick, dense project, there's nothing to see through, you know? I don't know. Like I've had people, that girl who got into Columbia, she disclosed it was a Makers Asylum project. She wasn't like pretending she just like dreamed it up one day, you know? It's like, yeah, you just like get support. So yeah, it's kind of okay. Wow,
Yeah,
Deepak says, oh, sorry, go ahead.
sorry. No, I just wanted to add a quick thing because most of your summer schools are paid for. So I'm just wondering, like
Mm,
even like your summer schools that you go
mm,
outside of India to kind of like pursue inside a university, they all cost. Everything has a cost to it. So I don't think so. It's about like paid versus selective and all of that. I don't think so is a big deal. What matters is that how authentic is your project and how exciting that your journey has been. Like if it's an authentic story and a narrative that you're building, and if it's real, even if you've paid for being in the program, because every program has its costs, like you can't deny that, right? You want the mentorship, you want to be part of like an ecosystem. So yes, it does work like that, but I think if it's as long as it's authentic, I think the university cares for that journey that you're kind of going through.
mm,
But yeah, I
mm.
guess, Nicholas, would you agree with that?
Um, yeah, there's about, yes, with the exception of about 7 or 8 specific math
Yeah,
science related schools.
yeah, I'm sure.
These are
Yeah.
like damn selective, like you gotta like pass crazy exams to get in. But then apart from those, which you can definitely get into like top unis without those programs anyways, then honestly, it's just doing something that's really kind of cool, that's on message. Where Rich's work stops, my work begins, because Rich is not going to be like thinking, hey, this thing can target the Indian Irish Science Fair. Don't worry, I can take care of that stuff. Okay, so you just got to make the thing, and then we can get it sort of validated correctly. Now, Nishka says, what is the application process for the program? Are there other programs by Makes Asylum other than the Innovation School? What are the on-site dates?
Yeah, so the application, we do have an application process. You can't just sign up for the program. So we do have a application form, which is subjective. We have some questions around your intent and your motivation and things like that. It's not to reject somebody, but it's also to see there's a fitment to, your thought and versus what we
Mm,
want as well, because we want to also curate a right community for
mm, mm.
for you as well. Are there other programs that make us silent than the innovation school? This is the fundamental program that we start with because we know that at this point you may not have made something by yourself. When I say made something by yourself is from scratch completely by yourself, right? Like not with somebody else making it for you. So this is fundamental program for us. Once you do this program, there can be a bunch of stuff that you can do beyond that. We have a level 2 of the program where you go from prototyping to actually building a product. So how do you go and scale into that journey? So that's another
Yeah,
one that you do. You can come back as an alumni mentor to help someone else do a project. So you're kind of like finessing your skills. You can do research projects with us, which are like, our active projects with the community. So there's a
yeah,
bunch of other stuff because making for us is a journey. You need to start with something
yeah.
basic where you kind of like,
Mm,
understanding the whole gamut of it, build
mm,
something first, and then kind of take
mm,
that forward. So that's how we kind of like,
mm,
work on that.
mm.
Our the To your last point, what are our on-site dates for the summer? So we do about 6 to 7 cohorts in the summer, starting May 26th to mid-July. So there are a bunch of like different cohorts that you can be part of. Like you can select your cohort that you're coming for. It's 7 days in Goa. So depending on, whichever dates work for you, you can be part of that cohort.
Yeah,
But
that
anyway,
sounds.
I will send that information to you. And Goa is, of course, amazing. So so please feel free to come over.
Yeah, and these are, and Nikunj, yeah, thank you for that. I think you're amazing as well. Um, it's about, and so Richa, it's really like it comes down to just thinking like I think your offering and my offering are really totally compatible. And it's just that it's funny that the mindset is the thing that maybe is more like sort of challenging in a way to kind of sync up. Because with American admissions, it's so freaking competitive and there's a big ladder and people want to climb the ladder as high as they can go. And at the tippy top would be like Stanford or MIT or whatever, Harvard, whatever. And it's just like, yeah. And I guess this whole idea of making, it's like kind of seeing way beyond the ladder in a way. Like if you go to university rank number 50th, there's like 5,000 unis in the world that speak English. So like that's still really good first off, and you can start a beautiful company or something. So yeah, it's an interesting approach because I'm very like functional and very instrumental in the sense of like trying to like help people navigate this process effectively and also in a way that's kind of fun. It's never fun, but like in like maximally human at least. And then like I don't know. And then you take this thing which is like, very creative, but also very rigorous and very technological. And that's also damn hard work. So it's funny. Like, I think Rich's piece has a lot of rigor, science, and hard work in it. And my piece can also have a lot of fun and creativity in it?
Yeah, that's true. I think I mean, in our case as well, of course, everyone's having fun because it's no pressure.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
But it is rigorous for
Yeah.
sure because building things by yourself can be definitely hard. But I think what I feel our approach, why it's a little different than the competitive approach that the US typically has, where there's a bunch of stuff happening, is because I think uh, this approach also kind of like has a very authentic way of arriving at the same impact that you want to show in your profiles versus a sort of breakdown. I mean, it has a framework, right? There's a background framework to the process that we do. It's not like you're just coming in and you're building whatever you want. Like you are going through a pretty interesting framework. You're learning something. You're also learning something that the university cares for, right? Because those are the things you're pursuing beyond like this program as well. So I feel like while there's a larger thematic too, of course, because as a makerspace and as a space where working across board with various things, but I think this program really specifically gives you a lot of framework, intensive structure, but at the same time a lot of fun and creativity as well. Because after
No
that,
doubt.
somebody like Nicholas can actually take that up and package it in a nice way to kind of like get you through to some really amazing
No,
university.
I'm not just a packager, but the packaging
But
helps.
no,
I
but the
definitely.
packaging helps. No, I agree with you because
Yeah.
absolutely that's important. And I think that's where I think working collaboratively is like a great idea as well.
Yeah, no, no, definitely. Oh, and someone said, is there a methodological way to go about the co-curriculars? That sounds like an excellent makerspace project. I have so much data. I don't have an algorithm to decide what's the best activity. I just have lots of correlation. So like, it's not possible to say, oh, well, if you do X, Y, and Z for the next 10 years, you'll get into Harvard. But you can always say what correlates with a Harvard admission, what level of grades correlates with a Harvard admission, et
Yeah.
cetera. So, yeah, we'll talk. Utpal, just contact Rajni. Okay, Richa, this has been awesome. I'm going to come down and see you guys, but I've got to go. Thank you so
Yes.
much. Thank you, everyone.
Amazing. I think there's one
Okay,
question that Deepak had on the chat I can see.
humanoid
But yeah,
robot. Yeah,
yeah, I
awesome.
mean, yeah, yes, of course, robotics is a big part of making. So I don't know if you've ever made a robot before, but yes, if we do have fundamentals around electronics that support that kind of like, envisioning of projects around that as well. Yes.
Crazy. Okay, I have to bounce. Thank you so much. See you later, guys. Bye,
Amazing.
Makers Asylum. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye, Nicholas. Amazing. Thank you so much. See you guys. Rajni, maybe
Thank
share
you
the
so
recording.
much. Yes, yes, we will do that. Thank you so
Yeah.
very much. Thanks. Bye bye.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
participants.
Bye.
Bye bye.